Okay, we are live. So I thought I would switch it up a little bit and go live to record the reacting to unpopular opinions part 2. So I just wanted to do this live because I don't know if anyone will come on. I didn't let anyone know in advance. But I wanted to just do this so that I actually get it out, because I've just been really busy lately and I haven't had time to come on here, which sucks. And also it's a combination of just not making time, right? So just give me a moment to get set up here. Of course, now my computer's going slow. Okay. This is not a great start. I should have probably got set up before I went live. Okay. So let's go through these unpopular opinions. So I haven't even pre-planned this. I don't have any idea what I'm gonna say. So I kind of think that is a good thing, right? The first unpopular opinion is you should read reversals. You're just missing out so much information when you just cancel out the information, since most uprights are positive, which is not true already. We know that. Not all uprights are positive, but the opinion here is basically you should read reversals. Pretty strong statement. There's a lot of people who do amazing readings without using reversals. I myself have spent a lot of my years not reading reversals. So I started off reading reversals, but only recently I started using reversals again. And that's because for my job as a professional tarot reader, was doing a lot of readings every day. And it just did, I admit, it did help me get to the message that the client needed the quickest. Okay, so to that degree, I agree. But I don't think everybody should read reversals, or you're not a real tarot reader if you're not reading reversals, because I've done both. Currently, and I think in my last video of unpopular opinions, reversals came up, and I said that I don't read reversals. Maybe it was a long time ago, but I've changed. And this is the thing, with this video, is that I'm always going to be changing my opinions, always be growing as a person, trying different things. So this is my reaction and my opinion right now. But I might again be in a place where I decide I'm not using reversals anymore. And I actually find with some decks, I say I'm not using reversals in this deck, and I purposely shuffle the deck so all the cards are upright. So it's all about the intention that you set, and you're always going to get the message you need. So I don't agree with this person. He says you should always read reversals. You're just missing out so much information because you set the intention beforehand, I'm not using reversals. Then you're going to get the message through the medium that you're reading, which makes sense, right? I hope that makes sense. It's you're always going to get the message whether you use reversals or not. It's just whether it's your style of reading, or you enjoy reading reversals, or you feel like they give you so much more information. So let's see what the next opinion is. Great, I've lost So bear with me. 5, 9. Okay. The next opinion is, I think it's not so much of not connecting with a deck, it's more of what your spirit guides or whoever you're choosing to channel to communicate through the tarot prefers. As someone who has over 25 decks, I only use a couple to read because I would feel the energy is different with certain decks, so I just collect them for the art. So what is this person sort of getting at here? Not so much of not connected. Okay, I think what they're trying to say is it's not possible for you to connect with multiple decks. So say if you're a deck collector, are you just doing it for the art, or do you have a hoarding habit of some kind? I don't know what you would call it, or you generally do appreciate the art. I wouldn't say I have a lot of decks, but I agree with this person to the point of, because I don't say I have a lot, but maybe I have like, I don't know, under 50, so I would say around 30 maybe. But I agree in the sense of I only use a few of those decks at a time, and there's always like one deck, my Rider-Waite deck, that I'm always using all the time, especially for work, because I'm just very connected with it. But I go through periods of using different decks, so I think you just go through, in my opinion, I just go through periods of using different decks, and I enjoy having a collection of decks where I like the art and I enjoy using them at some point. And maybe you'll grow out of a deck and be like, you know what, I'm just not using this deck anymore. I don't feel connected to it. I don't really want it anymore, and I'll pass it on, donate it, or sell it, right? So I agree with this, because you can have like a lot of decks and will only be using a certain deck at the time, and maybe it is the energy, or I always think you're sort of channeling the same thing, you're always connecting with your guides, right? So I don't feel like each deck I'm like channeling different things, but for different people they might feel like that, like this is my shadow work deck, or this is the deck I connect to Hecate with. So whatever the intention is, you can make that your reality, okay? And that's how it works. It's all about intention. So if you don't feel connected to a deck, you've set that intention of like, I don't feel connected to this deck, right? Let's see. The next opinion is, past, present, future is a terrible spread and shouldn't be the first and often only one taught in every guidebook. It's so vague, new readers get lost. I've seen way too many people wind up thinking it's the default or only way to do a reading. Bonus, terrible spread that isn't actually a spread. Pulling a bunch of cards for a single question, whether that's pulling clarifier after clarifier or just going on your gut and putting down 8+ cards at once to answer, how does he feel about me? Tarot cards are densely packed with symbolism and meaning. You don't need as many as you think to answer a question. Pull too many and you just get overwhelmed, or you're only engaging with them on a very shallow, surface level interpretation. If you don't understand one card, you probably don't need to draw 3 more in a row to figure it out. You just need to sit with that one card and dive deeper to find your answer. I think I disagree. I kind of agree with past, present, future. Like, don't. There's so many more spreads than that, and really, like, any free card spread though, there's so many free card spreads. I do think free card spreads are good for beginners because it's less overwhelming. Like, if you just don't know the meanings of each card and you have to look up each card, then a free card spread is going to be beneficial to you. I like free card spreads. My default spread is actually a 4-card spread, and I've been reading, like, over a decade, so I don't think it really has anything to do with being a beginner, how many cards you pull. I also think on the second part of that opinion, we have them saying you can't keep pulling multiple cards. Well, I often pull clarifiers and I often pull multiple cards, so I strongly disagree with this. Free pulling is that what you call it? Free pulling? But, like, free flow readings is one of my favorite ways to read. If I'm doing a reading for a client, I'll start with a spread and then I will kind of, as they keep kind of asking more questions, because if I'm live with them, right, so I'm getting their reaction and they're like, but this, or we want to dive deeper, then I'll pull more cards and clarifiers and stuff. And sometimes I just won't get a clear message coming through from one of the positions in the spread, so I'll keep pulling on that card. Yeah, I do think it can get overwhelming if you're just pulling it for the same question without being like, but sorry, but how can I understand that better? I need some water. Sorry. So, agree and disagree with that. Next opinion is, I know larger cards are more aesthetic, but I've passed on a lot of beautiful decks because they were huge and so hard to shuffle. And I completely agree with this. I really agree. It's like, I will really love a deck, but I'm like, damn, it's just hard to shuffle. And especially if I'm reading for clients, like, I need to get the answer quick. And I haven't always done this, but my natural way of reading is to wait for jumpers. So I want the cards to jump out at me. I didn't always do that though. So again, this is what I'm saying. Always be open-minded and understand that you're going to change. Your practice is going to change. The way you read is going to change. So, anyway, when I'm working with clients, I need to get the answer quick. And if I'm like having issues just shuffling the flipping deck, then I'm not going to be using it for client readings, which is when I use my cards the most because I use it for work. So I'm using the smaller decks, like the standard Rider-Waite size deck, the most, because I can shuffle it really easily. And for example, like my new deck that I got for Christmas, which I'll do a video soon on the new decks I got for Christmas and stuff, so let me know if you want a video on like the new decks I got for Christmas. But one of them is this awesome deck, the Cozy Witch Tarot, which I freaking love. And but it's just that oracle size. Let's compare it with the Rider-Waite. So this is my everyday work deck that I use for work, and it's the standard size. And even though there's not much difference in this, like, there's not really that much difference, but you really feel it. But it's not just the size, it's the texture. So I love this kind of, is it rose petal texture? If you can hear that. But it just doesn't shuffle great. I just find it uncomfortable to shuffle. But I love this deck. I feel really connected to this deck. It's such a hug deck. But if you can see, it's very clunky with the shuffling. You see, like my finger can't grip here. This is how I shuffle with my thumb, like that. If you sort of spread the cards out, then it wouldn't matter, right? But where I do that, this is no good for work. So what I do is I use this for my personal practice. So I've been using this as my sort of personal reading deck, and I'm loving it. And it actually is the perfect deck for a personal reading. Whereas here, the size isn't that much smaller. It's the same length, just a little bit narrow, but it's the texture, like that normal card texture. And just look how much, see, a jumper came out already. I can shuffle that so easily. What did we have? So, yeah, I completely agree with that. If the deck is too big or it has the wrong texture. So I love the texture of these and the aesthetic, but they're just rubbish for shuffling. And so I agree with that assumption. But you can still find a use for those decks. You can use them in your personal practice. Okay. Whoopsie. Cards falling all over the place. Oh, the Six of Cups. Okay. Let's see what the next one is. Pick a card on YouTube and TikTok is for entertainment purposes only. Agree and disagree. Like, tarot in general is for entertainment purposes only. If you're looking at it as a job, because that is what it's labeled as. That's what makes you able to do it without being sued, right? And I think, like, I touched on picker cards in part 1 of this video, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but I think there's so much benefit in picker card readings, and unless you're like using it in an addictive way, but anything you're using in an addictive way isn't healthy. I do TikTok readings, and they're just there to be of service to people, to help people, to inspire people, and you know, to bring messages to people. So I agree and disagree. Once again, that's kind of been my answer for everything. It's like, yeah, it is for entertainment purposes only. That's what protects us as tarot readers by law. We have to say that, but it doesn't make the messages any more valuable. And also, not everybody can afford a reading. Not everybody can read cards for themselves. So that is tarot readers providing a service for the public, for people who are not in a position where they can afford to buy their own personal tarot reading, or they just don't have the time or interest in learning the tarot. Okay. So the next one is cards don't have personalities, and I don't believe in interviewing decks. Cards don't have personalities. I think, like, there's nothing wrong with interviewing the deck. I think I've done it like once or twice. I'm too lazy to do that. I just want to use the deck in my practice and or for work, and then I just see how it goes, see how I connect with that, how easily I'm getting messages from that deck. But I think it's pretty cool when people do deck interview spreads. And it's a lovely way to sort of connect with a new deck, and I wish I did that more. I just don't make the time for those kinds of readings. I'm always just trying to get guidance when I'm doing personal readings, and connecting with my spirit guides and higher self. And you said cards don't have personalities. Well, they kind of do, isn't that the whole point? Like, each card has its own energy, its own message, which you could kind of call a personality. And especially the court cards, right? The court cards definitely have personalities. So I kind of disagree. The next question, opinion, let's get it right, is absolutely anything can be used for divination. I feel like this should be unpopular, but I've been kicked out of groups for this opinion. Okay, that's weird. Like, I grew up using poker cards and dice originally for my practice. I didn't start using actual tarot deck till 8th, I'm guessing, grade. Tarot is pricey. My family was poor. At the time, dice and poker cards were less than $3 and easy to get hold of. I agree, absolutely anything can be used for divination. And even when I'm doing readings for clients, like nature often gives me readings. So, a certain bug will land on the desk, or a certain bird will pass my vision, or I'm a numerologist, so numbers as well. The amount of times it's even just like sometimes those combine, and it would be like 3 birds, 3 magpies. So then I'll connect what that means for me. So really, yeah, I totally agree. Anything can be used for divination. Hey, Suzanne. Yes, divining is everywhere. And you're welcome. Yeah, I agree. So it's weird that this person would get kicked out of groups, right, for saying that. I think, I just don't agree with people being so strict around the use of tarot and divination. And, it's actually really cool when people use, different things, especially, if you... I saw this one witch on TikTok once. She was giving readings with bones. And I know that is a really old school thing. And I knew about it. I'd read about it. But I'd never actually seen a witch practicing it and giving readings. And it was really fascinating how she was reading the bones. So... it's so interesting to see how different people work with their own forms of divination, and charms are really interesting as well. Hey Rebecca, how are you? Long time no see. So the next opinion is cards like the Death card, the Tower, and 10 of Swords aren't always bad. Seems like everyone's immediate reaction to these are negative when it really shouldn't be. They can be difficult for sure, but ultimately they're good for you. Yeah, I completely agree with this opinion. Wow, I wouldn't even say the Death card's a negative card, actually. I've never ever pulled the Death card and felt like, oh God. Yeah, I've pulled the 3 of Swords and thought, oh God. I've pulled the Tower and thought, oh God. Or the Devil card, but not the Death card. But I guess everyone's different, right? We all have different triggers. So what it is if this card scares you, there's a trigger to look at there. I've really had to go through that journey with the Three of Swords, because for me, like heartbreak and like betrayal is a massive trigger. So yeah, I had to go on a journey with that card, and you know, I think there's always going to be certain energies at certain times where it's like you don't want to look at that, you know, you're avoiding it, but it's the shadow work, right? Why are you avoiding that? Why are you scared of the death card? If you would take the death card as literally death is coming, someone you know is going to die or you're going to die, I can see why that would be so triggering. Because like recently, having gone through a lot of grief myself, but I don't connect death with the death card. In fact, I don't read for that. Like I have kind of a limit on what I want to know. And that's really important as well, that you set the intention of when you're doing any divination of what your limits are, like what do you not want to know, you know? So I always have sort of rules, like I don't want to know when someone's going to die. I don't want to know, you know, that to me is not information I want to give to the client or to myself. So having those limitations is really important. Okay, Rebecca says it's been a little rough for me lately, but I know things are going to turn around soon. So I'm just trying to hang in there. I hope you've been doing well. Oh, love, I'm sending you so much love. I totally relate. Like, this is why I've not been online. I've been having a really tough time as well. And I'm exactly where you're at. Like, I know things are going to turn around, trying to focus on the positive. It's really important to keep, in a way, training our minds, training our brain training, right? To be aware of our thoughts and making sure that we're not having too many dark days. And it's about sort of staying positive about the future instead of fearful, right? I totally understand it can be hard when these challenges are showing up every day in our lives. But I love you, girl, and I'm here for you. Just reach out to me. You got my email, I think. So yeah, reach out to me if you need me. I love you lots. Thanks for being here with me. I'm even doing this live because I just don't trust myself to actually get around to making a video at the moment. I've been doing more TikTok because just doing lives is a lot easier. Okay, so the next opinion is, I cringe when I see folks who are self-proclaimed new to tarot suddenly advising for paid readings. Suddenly advertising for paid readings because they are super accurate or scarily accurate at reading the cards. I cringe even typing that phrase, lol. Yeah, like I haven't ever come across that, to be honest, or like noticed it or had awareness around it. I'm not like looking at other people's practice and judging it. Like, I've been reading the cards for over a decade, but I don't think that matters. I think you do need to sort of know what you're doing, but as long as you know what you're doing, like some people are really natural at it. They've had past lives reading the cards, right? Or they just take to it really easy, or they learn things really quick. So it really depends on the person. But like, I don't agree. It's not my experience. I'm not looking at that. Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie that I have seen, and it wasn't tarot, it was like oracle, but I remember I came across like someone on a live and I was like, that's like an I don't even feel right saying that, because I don't like digging out other people's and what they do, because it works for them and it works for the people who are getting the readings from them. But there has been like the very odd occasion where I'm like, whoa, that's really different, or like is, I don't know like what it is, but they were basically putting like yes no cards and just giving the reading like that. So for me, that's not enough information, but that's just a personal preference, whereas some people, they just want a yes no, right? So yeah, I try really hard to positively look upon what other people are doing within my community, unless it feels really aggressive. But that's never to do with really the way people read cards. Like, I just don't like it when the people are very aggressive with their feelings and opinions on things and think everyone should have the same. That's the only time I'm like, back the F up. Like, I don't want you in my space, like I don't agree. And I don't think that's really anything to do with their practice, because they could still be a great tarot reader. But if they're being very pushy with their opinions and that everyone else should think and do the same as them in life in general, like that I find just annoying, and I don't want to be around it, and I don't particularly want to watch people who are doing that. I like to remain open-minded, but that's the only time I'm just like, yeah. But it's never really to do with people's reading. I don't find it cringy. I think, like, you know, if you're accurate and you're confident, then that's pretty cool, no? So Rebecca says, thanks for saying that. It means a lot. I'll email you later. Definitely email me. You know, I'm always here for a friend. And also same, haven't trusted myself with videos lately, but I'm doing a live later to play on some Dungeons and Dragons at least. Lol. You know, I always felt like, I feel like I would like Dungeons and Dragons, but I don't have any friends to play it with, and I always thought of it as a game you play with cards, right? And you're sitting around in a room together. And like you're imagining stuff. It seems like, oh, is that like a bit complicated for me, because I'm quite simple when it comes to games. Like, I'm so not a gamer. I wish I was. I used to really like The Sims and Theme Park World when I was younger. I was like obsessed with Theme Park World, and you know, the side screen old school Mario games. My partner absolutely loves gaming. He's got the new Harry Potter game on Switch and he is loving it, and it looks so cool, and I wish I could just get into it, but I'm sitting there with my crochet and ball of yarn, crocheting away while he's playing a game, because I'm just an old lady, apparently. But Rebecca, Dungeons and Dragons sounds really fun, and I'll definitely try and pop on to see you doing that, see how you do it online, because I've only ever seen it as like a card game thing. It is very pen and paper kind of game, lol, not usually cards. Oh, okay. But sometimes people use them. Honestly, a lot of math and imagination. Yeah, it's the math part that freaks me out, but the imagination part sounds fun, like creating these worlds and these characters, but I just don't trust myself to remember the rules. So how are you going to do this live? And are you playing it live with other people? Like, how do you do it? Because normally I swear you have to have like a group of people together to play it, right? Yeah, let's go on to another opinion quick. So the next opinion is, many decks don't feel like tarot decks to me, just pretty pictures with the card names slapped on them, especially now that I'm studying right away. I tend to wonder how some of these artists come up with the artistic choices they make. It's just like any art, right? Like you could look at a piece of art and be like, what the hell is that? It just looks like someone slapped colors onto a page, and then it's selling for like thousands of pounds, and that's because someone else has looked at that same painting and they've seen something different. It's told a story, it's given them a feeling. This is art, right? It's subjective. So the same with tarot. And it's awesome because then it means that there's lots out there for different people to connect and enjoy because we're all different. So I don't really agree with this opinion. Yes, I agree with them in the fact that I mostly use a Rider-Waite system, but I don't think there's anything wrong with like ones that completely veer away from like any of the classic systems and they do their own thing, and it's cool, right? It's cool because that is speaking to someone, and as an intuitive reader, obviously my knowledge is just naturally there, so I don't need the image to necessarily understand the message coming through, but a different piece of art on the card can give me a complete different like a complete different message, you know. Once I was like using this different deck and I was doing a reading for a client, and they said and I pulled all these cards, and it's not a deck I normally use, but one thing I noticed was like all the clothing in the cards I pulled of the people in the pictures are wearing blue. And my brain kept going, blue clothing. Like for some reason, I was like hyper fixated on the blue clothing. So I said to the client, like, I don't know if this is going to make any sense, but I'm just hearing blue clothing. Like, and then I feel like I need to tell you this. Like, there's something about blue clothing today. And then they said, oh my God, like I'm wearing blue. It's Saturday. It was a Saturday. And they was like, I always wear blue on Saturdays. So in a way, it was like I was just picking up on that, but maybe I wouldn't have got that message if I was using a different deck, right? I was just happened to use that deck that day, and for some reason, like, I'm not even someone who necessarily picks up on the images too much when I'm doing readings, just sometimes, and it came through with that message. So I think there is something to having all different art styles and different images, and as long as it makes sense for the artist, and they have actually, I think it's also like the intention the artist put behind the deck. So hi Copper Kid, Cooper, sorry, and Riley, thanks for stopping in. So yeah, I don't agree because I think there's different art styles for different people when it comes to tarot, and I like to stay open-minded with that, but the intention of the artist is really important, and I think if a deck, you know, it just doesn't do really well, it could be because there wasn't much intention put behind each and thought put behind each image and why it's in that position. I do think it's important that the artist knows why they chose that image for that card. Hi B. So Rebecca said, I'm playing with other witches. So about a group of 4 of us. Oh, I love that. Maybe next time I can get in on the game. But I'll watch first because, like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. So probably wouldn't be helpful. Hey, lovely, how are you? Okay. Let's see the next one. such a beautiful sunny day here today, but it was completely iced over this morning, like so cold. Everything's covered in ice. Like the water bucket for my horses had like ice this thick on top, and then it's just been a beautiful sunny day all day, so that's been a nice result. Okay, next one. The next opinion is, are you still in France, Helki? Obviously that's not an opinion, that's a question. Yes, I am still in France. Still in my house here with the horses. I have been moving around a lot. I have been having some issues with visas and things like that. But I had Christmas here, I had New Year here, which was lovely, and yeah, and I've finished my kitchen, finally, but I just have like a few more little things I want to sort out, and we're saving up for a new fridge and washing machine, and Trey is working on building the drawers, so there's just a few more things to finish, but we've moved into my new kitchen now and we're using it and I love it. It's just like the coolest, like it's such a perfect witch's kitchen. It's like exactly how I wanted it to be, so I'm so happy with that, and I'm excited to share a video of that, like the transformation of the kitchen once it's done, but that won't be for a little while because just I want it to be completely finished when I share it, but you might see it if I decide to do vlogs before then. You might see glimpses of it. But yeah, I'm still here in France. Thank you for deleting those messages. If you can block those people, that would be great too, and then we don't have to worry about them. I don't know if you can block them. All right. Let's go to the next assumption or opinion. I keep calling them assumptions. You sound like you can switch your voice to Gordon Ramsay in 1 second. I don't know what that means, but I like Gordon Ramsay. He's pretty cool. He's so funny. When I was like 18, I had such a crush on him. How weird is that? Because he's much older and, you know, not conventionally attractive and not someone an 18-year-old would normally crush on. But I even had like a picture of him on my closet. Okay. When people explain why they don't like pip decks, their answer makes me skeptical about whether they know how to read pip decks. I think that's a shame, because reading pips is a delightful challenge and a different mental exercise. Like, I'm not drawn to using pip decks, but I don't really use the pictures, only use the pictures to read cards. I just, you know, I get like an intuitive message, to be honest. So, and it kind of helps, like knowing, it's like my intuition will say what to focus on. My intuition will like hone me in on the number, or hone me in on the card meaning that I know, or one of the card meanings that I know, or it will hone me in on a part of the image. So I really follow my intuition when it comes to reading, and it doesn't matter if it's a picture deck or a pip deck, but I think when people explain why they don't like pip decks, so I don't really know what people say, why people say they don't like pip decks. I guess like If you prefer reading with the pictures, with the art, then that would make sense. So I don't really know if I agree with this or not, to be honest. Rebecca said, I am sure they wouldn't mind more players, but the time might be really late for you. We usually go live around 2 p.m. But honestly, if I ever set up a game on my channel, you'd definitely be invited out. Thank you. But like I said, I need to watch your game. If it's not too late, maybe I can rewatch it. Send me the link anyway if it's not on your channel. Hi Salma. Let's look at another opinion. Intuitive readings have a limit. You can just look at a card and decide what they mean for you. Intuitive readings have a limit. You can't just look at a card and decide what they mean for you. Tarot is a tradition. If you want to read, take the time to understand that tradition. You need to know the foundation of tarot and really study in capital letters, the esoteric side of things. This is a spiritual practice and you need that knowledge and grounding to connect safely with the guides, etc. I disagree. Like I've done a big study on it through pure interest and wanting to. But like I've been reading over a decade, but I was still given really clear, more intuitive readings when I first started, you know? I wouldn't say the knowledge was more of my own interest of like exploring it, because I just find it so fascinating. Like I do have a lot of esoteric stuff and spiritual stuff, you know, if it piques my interest, and tarot and numerology are my top interests. Tarot is a lifetime study. Like that is something I can't preach enough. It's like it is a lifetime study. So I guess it sounds like I agree with this person, but I don't agree in the fact that I'm like, you can't use tarot if you haven't had some, you know, that it's almost like they're saying there's an end point to that study. There's a point where you've learned everything and now you're qualified enough to read the tarot. And I'm saying this as someone who is qualified enough to read the tarot in this person's opinion, because I do it professionally for a job, and I have been doing it more than long enough, but I don't agree that there's an end point to the study. It's endless. You don't stop learning tarot. I'm still learning new things from the tarot every day, and it's not always from a book. It's not always from another reader. I'm learning from my own practice. I learn more from my own practice than I ever have a book or someone else. I'm not saying I don't learn from other people and books, but it's just continuously, that's what's so fun about tarot, is you continue to learn more and more. That's what's so great about it. And I definitely wouldn't dismiss or discourage anyone or make anyone think that there's this end point of learning it and you can't use the cards and you can't do readings until you have, you know, studied enough. I think it helps a lot to enjoy tarot if you know all the meanings, right? And you know the cards well enough. But you can always go deeper with the cards, like facts. Yeah, I don't agree with that. Like, and there's nothing wrong with giving a reading and using the guidebook. Like I'll get a new deck and sometimes they'll have a really great guidebook and I'll just be really intrigued to see what that deck says in the guidebook for the card that I pulled. You know, not that I need it. It's like I can intuitively read, I can read from the knowledge from my study. but it's also fun to see a different perspective and learn something else. And there's nothing wrong with doing tarot readings and not knowing all the meanings off by heart, because it's just not like that. Like, not every time you pull, not every time you pull the Empress card, someone's pregnant, not every time, because I'm saying there's multiple meanings that you can get from each card. Like for me, the Hierophant is often a marriage card, but not every time I pull it, marriage is in question. You feel what the answer is for that. Okay, let's have a look at the comments. Hi, Mo. Everyone has different opinions. I do feel that the foundation knowledge is essential and then one can build on it. I'm still learning tarot. All learning is unconditional. I agree. And I've been doing this for like 7 years. But same, like I've been reading the tarot for, I don't know, around 11 years. I think I'm still learning, but I enjoy it, and I know enough about the tarot to give readings also. But I do agree with you that having the foundational knowledge is essential if you want to do it for a job. But if you're just reading for your friends or I think you have to understand that you've never finished learning with tarot. I think the moment you do that, how is it even fun anymore? Or, how are you getting a variation, enough of a variation of answers if you're not continuing to learn and discover new things about each card? Do you know what I mean? Some people think they are beyond learning. It's quite a narrow-minded view. Yeah, I agree. Like, I just think, how is it fun anymore? Like, honestly, just how is it fun anymore if you're doing that? If you just think that each card has this set meaning. Some people will have a meaning for a card, and for me, it's like, that card doesn't mean that for me. And that could be like something that's in, the most popular book of learning tarot, like the basics, right? It's the intention that you set. It's just always the intention that you set, right? So every time you're studying and you're bringing new meanings to cards, it's like you're like in that realm of where you're pulling the information for your readings from. You've just added to it, added to your bucket. Whereas if you're just sticking with this like very rigid system, there's not a lot there in the realm for you to pull for. So how do your readings really become more interesting or really expand? Or if anything, like, how is it even enjoyable after a certain point? Hey, Robert. For me, I just did live free card readings for a while, and that definitely helped me connect with my cards a lot more. Yeah, definitely. And it's really good to be of service to people in that way. I go on TikTok a lot and do free live readings when I have time, when I just feel called, like to give messages to people that they need at that time. or at least figure out my foundation with tarot, but there are still some cards that I forget the meaning to, and that's fine. Like, doesn't mean you're not bringing valuable readings, because you can just look in your book, or you can just look at the image and intuitively read the card, because that is still very valuable. And I'm really sorry about the chainsaw sound. My partner is probably chopping wood right now, so I hope that's not interrupting too much. Hey Kajan. Hey Blakey. My name's Helki. Okay. Let's have a look at another one. This is quite fun. You're not smarter and more enlightened because you don't believe in spiritual tarot. I think dismissing it and being actively against it just means you have an unimaginative understanding of the cards and you're boring. Like, in a less aggressive way, I agree with this, but I do feel like it's pretty aggressive. The way they've said this, but it's kind of what we've already been touching on, right? Like, I think tarot is not just like fortune telling, but also a deep spiritual practice, and just a way for us to get another perspective on the given situation that you're asking about, right? And thank you so much to my mods for deleting messages. I know, thank you for deleting the trolls. I'm sorry, it's quite distracting, but I appreciate it a lot. Let's just keep this live about tarot with my tarot girls and guys and peeps, and you know, that's what I like to do here. I'm trying to stay out of the sunlight. So another opinion is the Tower is not a bad card. I have seen so many people be like, my life, relationship, career is over forever when they see the Tower. Some even disregard the rest of the spread to hyperfixate on the Tower, which is particularly bad when the other cards in is the Sun or the Star. It really depends on your mental state while you're doing the reading. That's why I think if you're feeling vulnerable, don't pick up your deck. If you're feeling anxious, don't pick up your deck, because your mind's gonna go there, right? If you're in a space where you're negatively focused, then a negative card is going to be really triggering. But if you are, you should always be in a good place when you're doing readings, especially for yourself, okay? And what is good in those states, and it's not, so what I would suggest if you are in an anxious and a mentally unstable place, but you really want the clarity of a reading, go to someone else for a reading. Even if it's a pick a card, or if you can't afford a reading, if you always go for a personal reading. If you can afford a personal reading, go for that, and go with someone who you trust, or you get a good vibe from, like, and they are compassionate. A compassionate reader is really important. maybe a more spiritual based reader, yeah, go to someone else, because they might pull the Tower card for you and then they're not going to, freak out like you would if you were on your own. It's just the only way you're going to freak out is if you are in a bad mental place to begin with, right? So just like any bad card, the Tower card, the Ten of Swords, the Three of Swords, the Five of Cups, like, it just depends where you are, right? Sometimes you just know what card you're going to get anyway. If you're in those places, like, if I'm in like a lot of grief and I'm feeling, really depressed about that, and I can't stop thinking about, really sad stuff, then, I'll pull the Five of Cups and I'll be like, no shit, right? Just read your own vibe, and kind of sometimes it's easier to be like, I'm having a Tower moment right now. I don't need the cards to tell me that. So like, you really don't always need the cards, okay? But if you feel like you really need the cards, but you're scared you're going to pull the Tower, then go to someone else. But if you can't afford that, then you can do pick a card readings, okay? Or like someone doing them free on the live. Like, there's lots of resources out there. Wow, we've had to delete a lot of comments. What's with all the trolls today? My thoughts on the Tower is, it is a life-changing card. Good or bad, foundation needs to be rebuilt. I agree. So like, if you want my opinion on the Tower card, it's I agree with Rebecca there. It can always be different. It can be, it's often like, how I see it is like, okay, some shit's gonna go down and it's gonna be for the best though. It's gonna be for the ultimate good. It's a big shift happening, a collapsing of what is, so that what you actually want can be built. So the next opinion is, it's a long one. I hate all these boutique decks. Some of my favourite decks on an artistic level have been all but ruined by cardstock that is so matte it clumps together like a brick. Or each card is almost as thick as a credit card. Or gilding that is gilding that is either sharp or flakes off. Or goddess forbid all of the above. They're difficult to shuffle, impossible to spread, and just unpleasant to use. If I just want to stare at, sorry, because my computer's really far away, because if I come forward, I'm like in the bright sun. Where was I? If I just want to stare at the card and never actually do anything with it, I would have bought a print. I want to actually use them. And you know what else? These bulky premium boxes are stupid too. Who wants to carry that around everywhere, especially when the deck itself is already as thick as a Bible? I wind up just throwing them in the deck bag. It feels like modern decks aren't made for people who actually read tarot. They're made as a passing fad, only meant to feel premium without actually being any good for the use they were supposedly made for. Bring back cheap gloss card stock with plain boring edges in crappy tuck boxes. Like, I kind of agree. Earlier, I answered a similar question that was, no one was here on the live, but it was earlier. So if you're re-watching this playback, you would have seen me comparing like the cardstock of what I like. Oh God. So I like this kind of classic, you know, the classic tuck box, 90s style cardstock that I can shuffle, you see, really easy with my thumb because my thumb can grip it down, and I've got jumpers jumping out at me, and that's what I want because I read a lot of jumpers. But then, one moment, say I like this deck, but it's a bit too big, more oracle size, even though it is a tarot deck. This is the, God, it's so bright, that's an angel tarot deck, and I love this deck. So when I shuffle this one's a bit better than my new one, but it's like, you see, like, doesn't, this isn't a great example, but my new deck, which I love also. This is much harder. It's very rose petal, and it's harder to shuffle. See how I'm taking chunks of cards rather than single cards. So it's not good for work when I'm just trying to get a message out quick. But what I was saying earlier is I use these cards that aren't so easy to shuffle for my personal practice, and I can be more patient with them, or I can cut the deck and pull cards that way and do it a different way. So I do agree, for work, I prefer an easy shuffle deck, but you can use these more, you know, rose brushed, kind of textured, bigger, bulkier decks for your personal practice. But I do just wish more decks were in this kind of cardstock, to be honest. There's some cards went flying on the floor then. Hey Adam. Glastonbury, I love Glastonbury. It's like one of our favourite places. We don't go there enough, and now we're in France, it's even harder to get there. But you miss my vlogs, that's really nice, thank you. I didn't think anyone enjoyed my vlogs very much, to be honest, so I was always doing it more for myself because I just love to I love watching other people's vlogs, so I have that hope that someone will enjoy it. But that's really nice to hear, and like I hope to do more vlogs this year. I'll see, but I hope to. It's nice to hear, so thank you. I've got to go. I've got some visitors. No worries. Thank you for hanging around, B. Some people just want positive readings and remove all the negative cards. Life isn't like that. Yeah, it's weird to remove cards. Like, I can understand looking at the positive side to cards, but removing them. Hey! I love any of these tarot decks. Lol, I like pretty things. What can I say? Yeah, you do, girl. You do like pretty things, Rebecca. I just bought a thicky, chicky deck, and it felt so good to unbox. I love that. See, that's what I mean. I still love those decks, but I can't use them for work. Like, I just can't. I have to have a deck that shuffles well for work because I'm always like, I'm being paid for my time. So I'm trying to get the message out to people quickly. And if I'm like messing around with a deck, trying to shuffle the thing, that's not fun for the client. And they're not going to keep coming back if I'm taking 10 years on paid time to read. So I get what this person was saying, that you actually want usable decks. So I wish more decks came out in this style, but I'm really not that bothered. I'll take a deck for what it is. Adam said, congrats on 1K subscribers. Thank you. Yeah, like, I kind of thought that would never happen. Yeah, I never thought that would happen. And I'm so happy it did. It's really cool. It's like, keep the channel growing, even though I've been awful at the channel. If you have TikTok, follow me on TikTok, because I'm on TikTok a lot more. I go live on TikTok and stuff, so that's why I'm doing a live here, because I'm like, I seem to actually do the lives and make time for that. Hi bro, I'm a big fan on you. You're a big fan on me. Thanks. But I really do want to get back into YouTube, and I am really grateful to have reached 1K. That seems crazy, because I've been on here so long with my little community. So that's really cool. Hey Chandan. Okay, the next opinion is, I really just prefer oracle cards. That the lack of structure allows me to set my own rules and work more directly with my intuition. And I understand that the framework and structure of tarot really appeals to a lot of people and provides a very different reading. So I totally understand there are reasons why people prefer it. I think maybe one day tarot will click with me. Yeah, like, I've been saying this whole time, like, my opinions are always changing. With my practice, with tarot, oracle, all of the above. So always be open-minded that, you know, it's not working for me now, but who knows, maybe it will one day, and enjoy what is working for you in this moment. If oracle is working for you, awesome, right? Sometimes I go through phases of, like, I don't know if I do, really. I'll put an oracle card like once in a blue moon. And I used to, a while ago, like quite a few years back with clients, I would put an oracle card on the side. I'll very rarely do that. Like, sometimes I'll do that randomly, but it throws me off a little, because I'm such a tarot girly. Oh my god. But yeah, I'm into tarot and numerology. That's just my strength. But I'm open to one day being like really into oracle. That would be cool, you know. I have a lot of oracle decks, and I do have on my planned video list, which is very long, and I do hope to get around to. But one of those videos is my oracle deck collection. So, you know, I've done my tarot deck collection, and I want to do my oracle deck collection because it's pretty big. Like, you know, maybe not as big as my tarot deck collection, but I've got a lot of oracle decks. So I'm looking forward to sharing those with people, because I know a lot of you guys love a good oracle deck, and I don't blame you. I'm sorry, I'm bad at the troll thing. I can't tell sometimes, but I try my best. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I can't tell either. Hi, Deepesh. Yeah, it's hard to tell who's a troll. Okay, let's look at another opinion. Okay, I've been on for quite a bit. Stay on a little longer. Hi, Megan. So the next one is that the one I just did? I like very few, okay, no, it's Oracle again. I like very few Oracle decks because so many don't have a balance. The ones I'm talking about are all about positivity and light. And the world isn't only about positivity and light. We can need real answers to everyday questions. We need a balance. There are also times when the positive only decks are good messages for certain clients at certain times, but you have to know when and how to use them. I think for a personal practice, very positive decks are a great thing. It's like a hug deck. Do you remember when everyone was talking about the hug deck? And they were doing a video on what my hug deck is, and it's the deck that just feels like a warm hug. And I got myself a new hug deck well, I say I got myself it for Christmas. I got gifted it for Christmas, but I put it on my Christmas list, so I was hoping to get it, you know. And that was the deck I've been showing, this Cozy Witch Tarot deck, which soon I want to do a video or a live where I go over the new decks and books I got for Christmas. But I freaking love it, and it's very positive. So it's like when I'm feeling like a bit down, or not even always, like it's been sort of my daily deck at the moment, but you know, as you know, I've been having a hard time lately, like a really tough emotional time, and this deck has just been great, saving grace really, helping me, like giving me a message in such a kind way. And I think sometimes we need that. But I agree with this person because they mentioned for clients, and I don't think that's great for clients because you are just trying to get a message and you can pick up on their vibe. Like if they're in a bad place, you know, you want to uplift them, but you still want to give them the message and the correct answer to their question. So you just, you have to develop your people skills in a way as a reader to read the energy of the person and how it's best to deliver the message to them. Sometimes like I like to start more like with what is coming through the reading that's positive for them, that kind of, and then work into the more negative stuff that I'm seeing in the cards, because they're already feeling good and a bit more built up from the message, the positive messages, so they're in a more prepared place to hear the harder stuff. Hello. Okay. The next one is I got caught up in the whole twin flame thing. The more that I detach from the idea, the more I see how fucked up it is. Excuse my language. Doing readings for people to keep their hopes up, that is a shitty partner, or unrequited love will change or come back, is incredibly unethical. Making money by stringing people along and keeping them stuck is often an emotionally abusive or unhealthy situation, and it's really disturbing. I agree. I do believe in soulmates, but I don't believe it's like one person. I think for the people who believe in twin flames, that it's very much real for them. So I don't like to put down anyone's beliefs. And then you hear about, like, I know of people who claim to be in a twin flame relationship, not myself. I know I'm with my soulmate, but it's not this, like, we're not a split soul. Like, I know that we're separate souls. But I know of people who are in twin flame relationships, and like they might have had the struggle and been apart for like 20 years, and then they're back there together now, and they're stronger than ever. And that's their truth. So never deny someone's truth, but I agree with the taking advantage of people who are sort of in, you know, they're the chaser, because you have a runner and a chaser in a twin flame relationship. Yeah, and that can be, you know, really sad. Did anybody see that documentary on Netflix? And there was a second one on Prime Video about the twin flame cult. They were called Twin Flame Universe. Oh my God. Literally, I watched both of them. I found it so fascinating, but also so heartbreaking and sad. And I just felt, sorry. I just felt so bad for the people, so bad for the people in this cult and who had been taken advantage of. And so I always think it's so important for us to really read people's energy, and like if you're going to practice anything, practice energy reading and understanding the vibe of people so that you can know if they have good intentions or not. Because as soon as I saw those guys from the Twin Flame Universe cult, I just knew straight away these guys have bad intentions. They have bad vibes, like and they can take advantage of vulnerable people. And it is big in tarot reading as well. I have sort of in the past, you know, I've been asked like, oh, you do more twin flame stuff, and I did do readings for twin flames and divine feminine and divine masculine, but I just never really resonated with it, and I was always doing it more from the opinion of, I'm just seeing this as a relationship, and I'm just calling it that because that's what people want, right? But I have never gone like into meditation or had any experience where I was shown anything. I've not been in the Akashic records and been shown like proof of twin flames, how it's this split soul. It's a very interesting concept. But I do believe for the people that are experiencing it and they believe it and they know because it's their experience that it's real for them. It's just I don't have experience to talk on that. And there's plenty of people that need to have those readings, right? And it is their choice to tune into them. But like I said, do energy reading and make sure it's coming from a genuine place. If you feel called to read it, really these readings are just relationship readings. And twin flame is a name that people attach to it because that's their experience, right? And I think often the reader they're listening to their audience and what they're asking for. I had people asking me, can you do twin flame readings, please? So I did that. I tried it out, but it just, you know, I was able to do the readings, but I didn't continue it because it's not of my interest, you know? I'm really more about manifestation, personal empowerment, development. These are the subjects that interest me, getting people to a place where they're happy in their lives. And giving them clarity on their question, right, which is often relationship based. The next one is, not everything with tarot needs to be serious. You can have fun with it. Totally agree. I think it's awesome to play around and have fun, and I wish I did that more. I think I would do that more if it wasn't my job. So yeah, I think that's really cool to have fun with it, play games with the tarot. I disagree, and I think it can be serious and I think it can be fun. And I think you should always know that we have free will and things are always shifting and changing. The energy's always changing. It depends how many timelines you have open. Sometimes I do a reading for someone and I'm like, I know, I'm pretty like damn certain that this is going to happen for them because they have one really strong timeline and hardly any others that I can even see. And some people will have like multiple timelines that it's actually really hard to predict exactly what's going to happen for them. Rebecca, absolutely agree with the fun one. Yeah, right? You gotta have fun with this stuff. Like, I wish I did it more often. I think maybe this is my sign to have more fun with the tarot. The next one is, I really do not vibe with the Rider-Waite deck. It's probably the deck I reach for the least because I just don't really get a lot out of it. The readings I get with it seem superficial at best. Strongly disagree, and I totally respect that the Rider-Waite system and decks are not for everyone, but the Rider-Waite is my go-to deck. I use this deck. Oh, the Lovers. Talking of twin flames. Yeah, this is my go-to deck. It's my work deck. I get the strongest readings from it. It's the system that I first learned on. Probably actually the only system I learned on. I never went down the Thoth road or the Marseille. And I'm never saying never to those. It's just they've not piqued my interest yet. I do intuitive readings, and I also know the Rider-Waite system. So I just don't agree with this. Like, I love the Rider-Waite. I love so many decks are based on the Rider-Waite art style, and so I really, yeah, I love the Rider-Waite system. It's not for everyone. I'm not sure, are you into it? But I do find the deck kind of simple, but it's not a bad thing. I just like a bit of spice. Yeah, I know. I was thinking, Rebecca, I don't know if it, like, I don't think of Rider-Waite when I think of you. I think of like some beautiful, like magical fairy deck, or maybe something that's a bit on the dark side as well, in a fun way, or a fun deck, you know, like yeah, something with a bit of comedy, but also like definitely fairy vibes I get from you. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 left, but this has been going on for quite a while. So I think I'll leave it here because if you're rewatching this on the playback, it's, yeah, probably a bit long. Thank you if you stayed here. Thank you to my mods for being here, and Rebecca. Send me that email, and also link me the Dungeons and Dragons. Like, you said it's not on your channel, so link me that so I can find you and check that out. I love a lot more Oracle compared to Tarot, but yeah, and also Oracle, I should have said that because you're definitely an Oracle girly. I definitely don't let that stop me from using it. I just like collecting a bunch of different kinds of decks. So anyway, I am going to cut this short, and thank you guys for watching. It's been fun, and maybe I will come on and do a part 3 of unpopular tarot opinions. Alright guys, thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye!